Good morning, folks. It's Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. That means it's time to get commercial. It appears we have everyone here in their places with bright, shiny faces. Well, it's not everyone, but it's enough for a quorum. So with that, we are going to begin. We'll call this meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Representatives Alexander, Barrett, Boyd, Burkhart, Camper, Clemens, Faison, Freeman, Garrett, Hale, Hardaway, Haston, Hazelwood, Holsclaw, Johnson, Lynn, Marsh, Moon, Powers, Sparks, Thompson, Towns, Vital, Williams, Zachary. Vice Chairman Bricken, Chairman Vaughn. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And first, as a public service announcement for those who have been, I was approached last night by a member checking on my blood pressure. I felt like, wow, what a nice, kind thing to do. But I will have to say that being follically challenged, I discovered that yesterday morning and on Sunday, the sun's rays were a little harsher than I thought. So this is your public service announcement for all of those who are like me, follically challenged. Either wear a hat or put a little sunscreen on that noggin because it will light you up these days. So no need to adjust. And while I wouldn't mind putting on a little makeup, I'm not going to do that for the cameras. Anyone have any personal orders? Chairman Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am challenged just like you are. And I have a guest this morning from Blount County Circuit Court Clerk Tommy Hatcher. If you'll stand, sir, make him welcome, please.
Anyone else? Anyone else going once, going twice? We are done with personal orders. So we're going to go into our calendar today. First up on the list is House Bill 1342 by Speaker Sexton. Today it's carried by Representative Vital. We got a motion and a second. We also have an amendment. I believe the amendment makes the bill. Is that correct, Representative Vital?
That is, Mr. Chairman.
All righty. Let's get that thing on and then let's talk about it all. With
Drafting code is 4769.
We are consistent. Okay, without any exceptions, we're going to go on and vote on attaching amendment 4769 to House Bill 1342. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Hearing none. Amendment 2 is on that bill. Representative Vital, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tennessee is doing a great job attracting corporate relocations and expansions, and we can do more to protect the workers that will benefit from the jobs that we are creating when we give taxpayer dollars to these employers. As amended, House Bill 1342 will ensure that workers in jobs funded with an investment from Tennessee taxpayers through state economic development grants will maintain their right to vote in private when determining whether they want union representation on the work site. Tennessee has a long history of voter integrity by using secret ballots for federal, state, and municipal elections. The same should be followed for union elections when the state has invested in such jobs with taxpayer dollars. Taxpayer investment to recruit new jobs should come with integrity in workplace elections as well. This legislation protects the right to a private vote on union representation for workers whose employers receive economic development incentives from the state by requiring secret ballot votes as opposed to the card check system. This bill would further protect voter privacy and workers' privacy by preventing employers from sharing employees' personal information, including their home addresses, private cell numbers, and emails. This also prevents employers who receive state economic development incentives from putting requirements in their agreements with subcontractors that would force their subcontractors to violate worker privacy. These changes do not apply to all employers, only businesses that receive economic and community development funds. Receiving funds from the state should obligate these companies to protect workers' rights to a secret ballot, just as we have in fair elections. This builds on to Tennessee's recent right to work constitutional amendment by further giving employees the right to choose union representation. In essence, this bill is about protecting taxpayers' investment in new job development by protecting workers' right to privacy and assuring stable worker-labor relationships. This bill, as proposed, is prospective application only. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be happy to answer any questions. I renew my motion.
All righty. Anyone having any questions? First off, I had Speaker Marsh. I'll get you next down there, Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Sponsor, I've heard a lot of talk about this bill, and will this bill affect the mega site in West Tennessee or any other employers who have a union currently?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that.
Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman Marsh, no. This bill only applies to future recipients of Tennessee economic incentives. It also does not apply to any other current employers who have incentive dollars. Going forward only.
Representative Freeman, you had your hand up.
I did. Thank you. Just a quick question. My understanding is that this would supersede federal law. Is that, I keep hearing that. Is that an accurate statement?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Representative Freeman.
So, I just want to circle back to the mega site. So will it apply for any expansions on the mega site, or because the mega site has already received all of its money?
Ford has already.
Representative Vital.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that you were done.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at
Representative
it.
Vital.
Yep.
Ford has already received funding, so this would not affect the mega site. New contracts would be looked at individually based on who the recipient was.
Representative Freeman.
Thank you. I can't see me down here. I guess my concern is that, earlier you said it wouldn't affect the mega site. Now you're saying it actually will affect the mega site for anything moving forward. The mega site is not just Ford. It's all of it. And, there are businesses that are proud of their union involvement, that have policies within their organization that require these open ballots and open voting. And my concern is that it's going to limit the growth that we've seen such great growth right now in West Tennessee at this mega site. There's so much opportunity and potential for continued growth, and we're just gonna pump the brakes and stop it. Am I missing it? Do you not feel the same way? Because the way I look at it, and the companies that have called on me, they're telling me if this passes, it's going to give them pause to move into this site.
Representative Vital.
Thank you for the question. In no way is this about stopping economic development. This is about protecting privacy and private votes of workers in Tennessee. It is not targeted at any union. It will still give employees the choice in secret, just as we vote for representative or state senate, to choose someone in private without card check.
All right, Representative Freeman.
Last one. I hear what you're saying, but there are many instances of an open vote. Just last night, we voted on 25 bills in an open setting. Today, in this committee, we're going to vote openly, so everybody will know where we stand. So I appreciate that, but I have great concern. I just want to go on the record that this is going to affect the growth of that area. And I respect you and what you do. I just disagree with you on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. And one point I would like to make on this bill is, and for those who have maybe didn't hear it the first time, this bill, it presents the requirement. It doesn't have anything to do with union representation. It doesn't have anything to do with the National Labor Relations Act or the National Labor Relations Board. What this does is it simply says that or if a company does not want to receive in state dollars. All it states is that if you are going to organize, you will vote, your employees will vote in private to protect the rights of the voter. It means that people can't walk up to you and say, hey, do you want to join the union, don't you? What it is they vote in an organized secret ballot. And so that's the difference between what we're saying is to protect the rights of these workers to privacy and to have their own thoughts and feelings expressed in a way that is not open in public. So I probably could get a few more votes for representative if I walked around carrying a list saying, hey, don't you want to vote for me? Maybe not. That may cost me. But anyway, that's the gist of what this bill is. It does not, if secret ballot is a impediment to union organization, then there's an issue there that is not ours to consider. So that's one of the points that I believe this bill makes. Chairman Boyd.
Mr. Chairman, I believe my question was answered by Speaker Marsh's question a minute ago. I'm okay now.
All right, thank you. Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members, Chairman Vital opened up by saying that, man, Tennessee is great for business. They're just coming here, and it's not been a problem. That's one of the reasons Ford did come, how great Tennessee is. And although we think that this legislation is not going to impact, Ford and the mega site, from what we're hearing and the way I see it is it has the potential to do that. And oftentimes we do propose legislation where we have these unintended consequences. And this is one I believe could result in such unintended consequences. These businesses have contracts with their unions. They have a way of functioning, and we're about to insert ourselves in their process. So I do think there's a possibility that we're going to have some unintended consequences. I would like to go back, Mr. Chairman, with respect to the impact we think it may or may not have on the mega site. We've invested a lot of money. We're expecting to do a lot of great things. We're expecting to transform the entire West Tennessee. And on the site, Ford is expecting to, SK will be there. And then Ford is also expecting suppliers to be right on the site with them that may have these policies that they already have in effect that's going to come with these companies. And so is this legislation going to impede their ability to continue to function as the way they do as a company right now if they locate as a supplier to Ford at that mega site?
Representative
Do
Vital.
you think that's
Leader Camper, I want to say that in no way do I want to impede Ford or any other company from doing business, but business is done through employees. Employees carry the burden. And this bill is about giving workers the choice to bring a union into their workplace and do it in private and not be coerced. So I would say that a happy workforce makes a happy company and will make Ford blossom or any other company in Tennessee.
Leader Camper.
And Mr. Chairman, when people decide to work for that company, they know and understand that. And so they go in knowing what the rules are. They go in understanding the environment that they're about to work in, and they're okay with it. I mean, they go, they work, they're raising their families, they're stabilizing their families, doing a lot of great things. And this company made a choice, and we supported it, but I still believe we're going to end up having some unintended consequences as a result of this legislation if it passes. I know that's not your intent, and I know you're saying you want to protect workers, but these are companies that's been doing this for years and decades. They understand it, and they have these relationships already in place, and people are still choosing to work there. People are still making decisions that that's where they want to be. And I think that we're going to impact that, whether we intend to or not. And I also think it's going to have a subsequent impact on other companies deciding to come. Right now, the environment is great. We're flourishing. We already have right to work in our laws. We passed the Constitution, and we made it a constitutional amendment just recently that passed. And I just think we're about to, really set us back a little bit. I know you don't see it, but years from now, we'll look back on this day and see that all this great work that's been going on to bring people here who have done this work is going to be impacted by this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Vital. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Leader. Next on our list is Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding is, and you mentioned, Representative Vital, that you weren't aware of this, of conflicting with any federal laws. Don't pretend to be an expert on this, but my understanding is this does conflict with some National Labor Relations Board rules and regulations. Would you be willing to roll this for a week or so to investigate that, to verify that one way or the other, to avoid any future problems?
Representative Vital.
I don't have any question with that. I think at the same time, I think this bill allows people to choose representation in private. It's pretty simple. It protects the Tennessee taxpayers on incentives. I think there's still time for that to be heard in future committees. So I would probably like to just move forward.
Thank you. And I'll say this, Representative Thompson, my understanding, and now I wasn't pre-law in school, only pre-med for a semester. But it's my understanding that what this does is this basically regulates the state of Tennessee because these companies can still use card check if they want. That they're still able to. It's just they won't be considered for economic incentives from ECD. That's what this bill does. It does not. We don't get into the world of NLRB and National Labor Relations Act because it does have administrative rulings and complicated laws and things that maybe we don't always have. We're not the resources that it takes for that. But this does not deal with any of that. What this does is it says that if you want an incentive from the Economic Community Development Agency of the state of Tennessee, then your decision to organize will be held by secret ballot. That's when you shuck this bill down to a cob, that's where it is. And so getting into whether or not we're in confliction with is that a word? Confliction? Should be if it's not. If we're in conflict with that, it is we don't get that far in the weeds with the organization of the labor at the site. It has to do with whether or not a check is written to the company. Next on our list is Vice Chairman Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of a curiosity question to the sponsor. Does this bill have any duration of time, or I'm thinking about the legacy of like 20, 30 years from there that the employer, that we might totally forget about it and they have a union vote. So I just didn't know if how we're going to track this for an employer 20 or 30 years from there.
Representative Vital, got a response for that?
Thank you. As I'm aware, there is no limitation on duration. It would be tracked through ECD just like any other criteria in awarding grants or incentives. Thank you.
Thank you.
You good? Representative Bricken? All right. Chairman Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And from the standpoint of the employee, I would want to vote in secret because if I want to belong to a bargaining unit and it's not successful or successful, I don't want my supervisor to interfere with my promotion, my annual reviews. So to me, that's the type of environment. If I wish to be part of a bargaining unit, I would want that protection of a secret ballot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call a question on the bill.
Question has been called. Do we have objections? Have objections. We've got enough hands up in there to object, so we will be voting on to call the question. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Those ayes carried it, folks. So we are. Leader Camper, you know I hold you in such high esteem. I am going to check up and recognize you. Okay. So we're now going to vote on House Bill 1342. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? No, and record those noes with the clerk. 1342 is on its way to calendar and rules. Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I was a little saddened by that calling for the question because we talk a lot about, it happens at the committee level. All the debate, all the discussion, everything happens at the committee level. But at the committee level, we shutting down people's opportunity to really have a deep conversation about some of these bills. Secondly, one of the members said, look, give us time to digest this more with your roll of the week. No, I want to talk about it now. That's fine. So he was going to talk about it now, but then we went right ahead to the question to limit debate. Then we'll get to the floor and do the same thing and say, well, you had a chance in committee. Well, no, we didn't have a chance in committee because the committee decided we didn't want to talk about it. That's a problem, Mr. Chairman, and that's to anybody that's, listening and want to allow us to vet these bills properly. So when we get to the floor, we can move on. But anyway, I was saddened by that because I thought once the gentleman did not roll the bill, which he has every right to do, then the committee itself would allow us to have a full-fledged debate, which we weren't able to do. And this is how amendments can come to the floor. It's just how it can happen. And then we'll shut that down because you should have done it in committee. It's a problem, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Be of good cheer, Leader Camper. Don't be saddened today. Because while I understand, I appreciate your right to be saddened, I do disagree with your premise. This bill has been in the system quite some time. It was presented in subcommittee 3 weeks ago. It was rolled a week last week. We have vetted this bill and people have had the opportunity to see it and discuss it. And I believe let's see, how many folks did we have? Conversation. We had been through 8 different committee members, multiple times. Any member of this committee can call for the question at whatever point they want. And so by the fact that the vote was the vote, I understand. But I understand your frustration, and you indicated it well. You verbalized it well. But I can tell you that this bill has been reviewed. We have had robust debate on it, and it's time to continue with our calendar. Next up is House Bill 623 by.
Second.
I'd ask to be
Well-
recognized before you went to this bill, sir.
Oh, I understand the parliamentarian process, but here's what we're going to do. And here's the way I see the world. I believe rules provide order for our world, but at the same time, respect and compassion and kindness for fellow human beings also is of import to me. Representative Hardaway, you are my friend. Therefore, I am going to recognize you. I forgot after I heard from Leader Camper. So, sir, you are recognized. And for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the and you've heard from me before on this, and what you've offered as the rationale, it's good, but it's not complete. I have constituents who want to hear the full debate from the full committee. There's a reason that we send the bill from subcommittee to the full committee. There's new information, there are new eyes on the language itself. Sometimes it requires more questions for clarifications or other things come to mind. So I don't know why we're in a hurry and determined to keep the debate, deliberations out of the, I guess, the venue where most of the constituents are paying attention and want to see and hear us. It's disappointing. I've got questions that I think would make sense. They weren't asked, and I've had this happen before, and we've had to come back and clean up these bills. We've gone to court and been sued over bills that were rushed through. It's not about what I know and don't know, but I think if in the future, if we could just have deliberations on these bills so everything is vetted, my people can see what I did in terms of vote, but they cannot see the why I voted. So I would ask our colleagues to allow the deliberations to go forward. I'm finished, Mr. Chairman.
Duly noted from you and Siri, sir. All right, and with that, we're going to move forward to our next item on the agenda, which is House Bill 623, presented by Chairman Jernigan. Motion and a second have been received. Representative Jernigan, please share with us about 623.
I will, Chairman. Thank you. And I do want to say your public service announcement. I face many challenges. Hair is not one of them, but I do appreciate the way you handle your committee. Members, House Bill 623, current law requires a seller of residential property to disclose the presence of a known sinkhole on the property and to provide a recorded plat map with contour lines where the sinkhole exists. HB 623 removes the requirement to provide a recorded plat map and simply requires disclosing a known sinkhole that exists on the property. The reason being is that most recorded plat maps, especially in older homes, did not include contour lines or sinkhole information because the information was not available or tracked at that time. So it becomes impossible to meet the definition of a sinkhole, especially during contract disputes, creating an unfair burden that just can't be met. So for that reason, is why we want to redefine sinkhole to match what it says sinkhole in other parts of the code. And for any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, thank you, sir. Having any questions from anyone? I've got Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank the sponsor for bringing this. I love talking about sinkholes since I am in the insurance business because we deal with them all the time. But I guess my question is, what liability would they have if one appeared, just say maybe a month after somebody bought the house or whatever? Is there any liability that goes back to that person that was supposed to disclose that information, but that was not on the map that the contour map you're talking about?
Chairman Jernigan.
Thank you. Well, there wouldn't be any liability if it depends if they knowingly knew that there was a sinkhole. And if they didn't, then no, there's not. And what happened, this came from a constituent, well, actually Representative Lenz, and who in 2010, when we had the flood, sinkholes came about. And when they went to court and then the buyer and the seller were in contract disputes, and his house was built in the 50s, and he could not meet the definition because it says it has to be known, that you may know it, and contour lines. So he couldn't meet that burden, and the judge cited the law. And so that's what he came to us, and actually he did go to court and trial and he did win. But it made sense to me and I was happy to carry the bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Chairman
Thank you, Mr.
Powers, I
Chairman.
think for those of you who have sold real estate before, particularly a home, you have to fill out the disclosure form. Disclosure form says that you know of any leaks, or you've had a fire, or you know that your hot water tank has leaked in the last few weeks or whatever, so that it's part of the due diligence and discovery process for someone who is taking on a piece of real estate. This is just adding another item to that disclosure list that will have to be disclosed. And the difference there is what you know and what you don't know. You know if you've replaced your condensing unit outside your house, but if you've got a 10-year-old condensing unit, you don't know that in 2 weeks it might break. And so that's kind of the way that we're creating this as something that where we are trying to get for people to disclose what they know about their property, like they do so many other items within the home. Let's see, Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you kind of hit on what I wanted to clarify, which he talked about the Residential Property Disclosure Act, and this is under the statute that provides for what a seller lists on that form to disclose known issues with the property so a potential buyer can understand what they're buying. Is that correct of where you're putting this new definition for a sinkhole in the statute regarding the Residential Disclosure Property Act?
Chairman Jernigan.
And that's correct. Representative Reedy and Senator Green, about three or 4 years ago, and I went back to watch the video, and thank you, sir, and to watch the video, and it didn't, in the video, it didn't really address the definition of why and contour lines were there. But I would agree with your assessment, and Chairman, it's about whether you know or not. There's another definition of sinkhole in the code, and it's just knowingly as well. This second part is not on there.
Thank you, sir. They get you, Representative, one more.
Yes, thank you for that. And so I actually pulled what the statute currently says, so I appreciate this legislation, because I do believe that removing under 2I, that part of the definition is indicated by contour lines, and dealing with some property law in my law practice, some of these plats are so old, they don't reflect exactly what the property is. So to tie someone to a knowing standard to a plat that's not accurate from 50 years ago, this legislation does meet a need that I think is out there. So I appreciate you bringing this bill along with Chairman Reedy. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to support the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Towns.
Chairman, thank you. Chairman, thank you for bringing the bill as well. The question, and maybe some of the legal minds on this dais here can answer the question. Just say you know that there's a sinkhole on your property, and are you able to sell it if you disclose it, or is there a law against selling property with sinkholes currently anywhere on the books?
Chairman Jernigan, you want that one, or you want me to take that one?
You know what? I'm gonna
Representative Reedy,
Yeah.
who is also on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. 2016, this was actually my first bill that I had in the legislature. What we found out on the realtor's application or the seller's, you would check the box saying there was an old farmhouse foundation on there, but it was nothing on there talking about sinkholes. So bringing the bill forward from the comptroller's office was saying, hey, it's necessary. If you know that there is a sinkhole on that piece of property, you check the box. But if you, and after that time, if you willingly, knowingly did not check that box, and I sold the property to you, Representative Towns, then I'm liable that you can come back on me because I did not disclose that per the application process. And so already in 2016, this was put on there, but now the discussion is not whether there's a sinkhole or not. We're talking about the contour lines of that sinkhole on that property. Representative Jernigan?
Representative Townsend, anyone at any time may buy property as is. So it's not nullifying a sale or the opportunity for someone to sell some property by them disclosing this. It may affect the price it's traded at. It may affect the terms of the deal, but anyone can purchase real property with as it lays or as it is without any improvements or changes to it. Yeah, you got another question, Representative Townsend?
I do. You do real estate?
Yes, sir. I'm a licensed real estate broker.
The question becomes also with real estate, with properties, unlike cars, you know, there can be, these sinkholes, they're frightening, they're scary. I mean, if your house happens to go down the drain, I mean, there's death involved, there's all kind of stuff involved in this deal. So I would think that we would have laws on the books to say if you know there's a sinkhole in the property, you shouldn't be able to sell it until you repair it because it's too dangerous. It's just absolutely too dangerous. But as the law is today, hopefully this helps a little bit to deal with it. But I just think that it's just a frightening episode in your life if you encounter one of those sinkholes, you know. So, Mr. Chairman, thanks for the explanation. Thanks for the bill as well, sir.
Thank you, sir. We have no one else on the bill. Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note that I remember this bill back in 2016, and I was going to ask these questions, but somebody called the question on the bill.
Hey, I'm disappointed you didn't take the opportunity to call the question then, Representative Hardaway. All right, seeing no other hands up on House Bill 623, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 623 is off the calendar and rules. House Bill 1290 has been taken off notice. Next up is House Bill 758 by Representative Eldridge. We got a motion and a second. Representative Eldridge, you want to talk to us about House Bill 758?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you, Chairman and committee. House Bill 758 is a fix-it bill for the people that are supposed to be fixing things in your home. When this was passed out last year, we included in there that they had to disclose in the advertisements what they would explicitly disclose, what they would and would not cover. And as a result, sometimes the disclosure can be longer than the ad itself that they're running. So this removes the requirement from statute to explicitly and disclose in the advertisement only. It still has to be disclosed in the contract what they are going to fix and what they are not going to fix. So this is just to kind of clean that up.
Thank you, sir. I believe if you've got so many exclusions that it's more than the things you cover, it's not really an effective advertising campaign. But do I have any other questions for you? We appreciate you coming and circling back around, fixing this one for us. All those in favor of House Bill 758, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Hearing none. 758 is off the calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman. Committee.
Yes, sir. House Bill 1275 is next on our list. It has been requested to be rolled 1 week. Man, I can't wait. I'll be back just for House Bill 1275. It's rolled 1 week. Representative Davis, you're here with House Bill 814. We've got a motion and a second on that. Have a little amending to do here. Could you come at that one more time for us?
Yes, sir. 4494.
All righty, let's get this thing in proper posture. All those in favor of attaching Subcommittee Amendment number 1, which is drafting code 4494 to House Bill 814, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Hearing none. You are now amended and ready to go.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. Someone smarter than me told me that this bill is kind of streamlining government. And so what we're wanting to do is we're wanting food trucks to pay fees and licenses, and they pay those currently now in cities where they operate. In addition, many local governments require annual fire inspections. These inspections vary in scope and standards from city to city. Cities typically schedule fire inspections at the same time at the beginning of each year. Because these inspections occur at the same time of each year, the inspections can be duplicative and also do little to increase public safety. There's also time consuming for the food trucks. They're having to go to multiple different locations, and so then they have to shut down operations in order to have those fire inspections. What we're wanting to do is create a state-based fire inspection that meets all of those local licenses ability and meets that fire code. And we also have some ladies here to speak to this.
Are these the same folks that testified in sub?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, thank you. If you don't mind, let's take some questions first and see if their testimony is necessary. They're duly filed, they're ready to go, but let's find out from the committee let's see how the questions go.
Okay, if
can
there's
do
any
without their
hard ones,
testimony.
I'm gonna defer to my co-sponsor, Chairman Reedy, who did such a good job on the last bill. I might have him step in.
I understand. All right, so let's clarify a few things because the folks that testified in the subcommittee did a great job, but this is going to basically supply a top tier standard fire inspection that's good. They can basically present a card anywhere in the state saying, I've been inspected by the state fire marshal. They say that I have really good stuff. It doesn't interfere with their local jurisdiction's ability to license this vehicle, nor collects revenue from it when it's within their jurisdiction. Is that correct?
That is all correct, sir. Yes.
All righty. I'll look to my committee members on whether or not they would like to hear from the testimony. We're getting some nods. Representative or Chairman Powers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, what's the difference between a food truck and a mobile food unit? And since you have Chairman Reed there, what if one of them is located in a sinkhole?
Representative Davis.
I would have to have you go out of session and defer to legal with regard to the definition between a food truck and a mobile food unit, as this was their amendment, as their clarification.
No, I think I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Representative Towns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative, the need for this bill, has there been some problems or something that I don't know about with food trucks or the units catching on fire across the state?
Representative Davis.
Thank you, Chair. What this actually addresses is the fact that if you have multiple food units and if you operate in different municipalities or different locations, you have to have that local fire inspection for each one of those locals. What this is creating is kind of the gold standard fire permit that allows for that fire inspection to be met by a state level at the Department of Commerce in charge of it. And so currently, usually in locals, you only have to get your fire truck inspected one time a year. However, with this state licensure, it will be 2 times a year. So it would be a higher standard and there's more consistency. And one of the ladies that testified last week spoke to this. In some cases, the fire codes vary from 1 to 6 years in statutorily what they can accept. So this creates more of a consistency in the inspection and in the code.
Hold on, Representative Towns. Let me pull Chairman's privilege here because she just hit something that by the time we get done, as a matter of fact, okay, now it's back to me. This is a permissive permitting system, correct? Like if I only operate in my food truck in Collierville and I don't want to have to go through the state, I can just do this. I can still just use my local fire department. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. This is permissive, and it's really addressed for multiple people that have multiple food units across the state or want to operate in different municipalities. It affords them that ability to opt in to having that state permit.
All right, Representative Towns, back to you. Sorry for the interruption.
I don't think you're sorry, Mr. Chairman. That's chairman's privilege. But the fact of it is, that was very good. I needed that distinction. That helps him with the bill. But I'm still wondering, have there been any problem where food trucks have been catching on fire? I understand we have to do health inspections, which obviously for the public is very good. But have there been across the state or even in your area where these trucks are catching on fire? That's
Representative
what I'm trying to
Davis.
get to.
I'm not aware, sir. I haven't been. I'd have to get back to you on that.
I believe what those inspections that people are getting are sufficient enough to hopefully prevent those problems. So I'm going to play this out for a scenario one more time. So I think so that the committee understands what we're doing here. Let's say that I am a food truck operator. I want to sell at balloon festivals in Collierville, at the rodeo and Piperton, and sell at the Beale Street Music Festival in Memphis and others. So I like to operate I chase the festivals around in my local area. But under each of these in different municipalities, there are different fire codes that are recognized within these municipalities. I can either go through the process of having each of those separate fire jurisdictions and fire marshals examine my truck and go through the time to do that, or I can apply to the state fire marshal, have them come in and them give me what is basically the gold seal of approval that covers all of these jurisdictions. But yet, before I go into those jurisdictions, I still have to have my food truck license.
Correct.
And the revenue papers where I report where my sales and where the sales and use taxes are. That's what we're doing. We're creating this umbrella coverage for the food trucks because by their very nature, they're mobile and they go in and out of other jurisdictions.
That's correct, sir.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you, ma'am. Any other comment? Representative Towns, you got to follow up here.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's another good explanation for insight. So that means that if you have that state standard inspection, that there's no need for the local inspections. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And these inspections, finally, are they costly? What kind of money does it cost to vendors? Just curious.
Representative Davis.
It's $250.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you. We have Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You answered most of my questions. Just one small question left, though. Will this result in having to hire a large number of state inspectors for all these, since they're taking over a lot of the operation?
Thank you, Chair. Really, that would depend on the number of people that decide that they want to opt in for this. So there's only about, I think last year they had about 2,000 health licenses. So there was roughly over 2,200 of those licensures for those mobile food units. So it would just depend on the number of mobile food units that felt like it was in their best interest to take advantage of this.
Thank you, Representative Davis. So if I only operated my food truck in Collierville and Germantown, I probably don't want to drive to Nashville or Murfreesboro to get it inspected. I'll just pay the local fee. But Representative Thompson.
Okay, so anyway, so you're saying you can't really estimate the overall cost right now, even though there is a fiscal nut. I saw about $300,000 or something, but you can't really pin it down at this point. Is that correct?
Representative Davis.
That's accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Sparks.
I'd just like to thank you for bringing the bill. You mentioned streamlining government. I know Representative Freeman's a big fan of streamlining government. And but you know, this gives a lot of folks an opportunity as young entrepreneurs, especially minority and female owned. Chairman, could we hear testimony from the food truck operators?
That would,
I didn't hear it.
You know what, Representative Sparks, we're going to do that. But before we go out of session to hear from these folks, I would like to talk to I'd like, since his name was called, I would like for old Streamline Freeman to have an opportunity to retort.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. This is normally a pretty entertaining committee. There are some nodding off folks in the audience. I think we should pick this up a little bit. I think we're starting to get a little tired out there.
Well, we did stay out late last night. All righty, we're going to go out of session and hear from our witnesses. We have Jamie Daniels Joe from the Tennessee Food Truckers, and Jessica Poitras from the Institute of Justice. Let's hear from, yes, let's hear from both of you. You each have 3 minutes, and thank you for being here today. Oh, out of session.
All right. Is my mic on? Chairman Vaughn, Representative Davis, members of the committee, thank you for having me here again today. I'm honored once again to speak on behalf of small business owners across the state of Tennessee. As I stated last week, I do not need to tell you the amount of undue burdens that small business owners face daily, especially during the current economic state. I am here today, however, to ask for some relief in one small area. A small change that can make a big difference in the lives of thousands of small business owners. Currently in Tennessee, food truckers must be permitted in every municipality in which we serve. This means for me to serve in 5 different cities, I must obtain 5 different food truck permits. It also means that I must obtain a fire inspection for each of those municipalities as well. While our health inspections are accepted statewide, the fire inspections are not. To be permitted, I must close my business and travel to each of those municipalities on different days, which means a loss of revenue for my business and lost wages for my employees. Every time I'm required to get a different fire permit, I am forced to close my doors for the day. For those of us who own multiple units, the impact is even more. It's important to note that we are not asking for any deregulation. We are only asking for smart regulation. Everyone wants to be safe, especially when it comes to fire safety, but our current fire inspection process just simply does not make sense. Inspections are generally conducted on the first of the year when most of our permits expire. Therefore, we're not always inspected again for an entire year. Some are stringent while others are very lenient. There's very little consistency when it comes to the fire inspections. We are merely asking for safe and streamlined standards that are sensible for conducting business in Tennessee. We are mobile vendors. We need to be able to travel to our customers daily in order to make a living. While food truckers will still be required to obtain the individual food truck permits, this one gold standard fire permit would alleviate the burden of having to close our doors repeatedly during business hours and give the peace of mind that top-level safety standards are being followed. Let me stress again, this bill does not change any local permitting processes. On a personal note, my business was recently invited to attend a very large festival in East Tennessee that would have been financially lucrative for my family. However, the permitting process of requiring me to drive 4+ hours on a food truck just to get my 5th fire inspection of 2023 and then return home before I could even confirm the event led me to lose the opportunity. In closing, I hope you will understand how this one simple change can make such a big impact on small business owners across the state. Please help us make food trucking safer and more sensible in Tennessee by passing HB 814. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can regarding this matter.
What I plan to do is we'll hear from the next testimony, and then if anyone has any questions, we'll hear from you. Thank you, or we'll ask the questions at that point. Thank you. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you have 3 minutes as well.
Thank you, Chairman Vaughn and members of this esteemed committee. My name is Jessica Patois, and I am Legislative Counsel with the Institute for Justice. We are a nonprofit public interest law firm that works to protect civil liberties and including economic liberty. Over the last 2 years, we have worked with several food truck owners across the state of Tennessee who are struggling to run their businesses amid burdensome and often duplicative local regulations. We are in support of this bill because it will cut needless red tape that many food trucks in the state come across and will improve safety. Research shows that food trucks offer many economic benefits. They are accessible opportunities for entrepreneurship, they create jobs, and they enrich the communities that they serve. Research shows a positive correlation between the presence of food trucks in a community and more restaurants because of the foot traffic that they generate. Unfortunately, the state's patchwork approach to fire inspections makes it difficult for food trucks to operate and succeed. They're mobile by nature, and they must traverse across multiple different jurisdictions. This bill simply streamlines fire inspections without compromising safety. In fact, it may improve it. It strikes the right balance between making sure that cities can address local problems and regulate food trucks that only operate in their streets, and it's streamlining regulation at the state level so that food trucks that are operating in multiple cities can adhere to a gold standard, as you've heard before. Finally, I'd like to note that other states have successfully streamlined food truck licensing at the state level to make it easier for these units to operate, including Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Rhode Island, and Utah. In conclusion, this bill is an important way that the state can support these small businesses and stimulate economic growth. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you, ladies, and I'm terribly sorry for butchering your last name, Ms. Poitras. Anyone have any questions for our witnesses? Seeing none, we're going to go back. Oh, yes, Vice Chairman Brickens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What are the estimated annual sales in Tennessee of food trucks?
Miss Joe, can you have that one?
I can only speak to my personal business. It ranges very, I mean, it depends. We're very weather dependent. So it's going to vary year to year as far as sales are concerned.
Vice Chairman Brickens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we don't know exactly what the statewide economic impact of food trucks. I'm just curious to know.
I don't have an exact number of that for you.
Okay.
That sounds like something, we ought to get a TASER study. Let's see. Any other questions for our witnesses? Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Chairman. And anytime that we have our constituents come before us, we want to make sure we know as much about them as possible. If we could find out, number one, what the name of your food truck is and what it serves, and if there are any other food truck operators in the audience, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we recognize them and thank them for being here.
You know, that sounds like a really fun thing to do. Ms. Joe, what's the name of your truck, and are you joined here today by any other operators?
I am. I own the Tennessee Cobbler Company.
Oh, I need to stay away from that one, I can tell you.
Mr. Chairman, move for recess.
Are there any other, are you joined today by any other operators? Or are you here
Yes, sir.
flying solo? There we go.
Yes, sir. There's several in the room.
All right. Thank you for being here and being part of the process. All right. Any other questions for our witnesses? Ladies, thank you so much. Representative Towns.
Chairman, after all that, are you going to buy us lunch with one of these food trucks, or are you just going to talk about it? I mean, what's the deal?
Hopefully next time they'll drive them to.
That means no.
So
we have to be
okay,
fire
we're
inspected first. I would just like to point out.
all right. We're going to go back in session so we can hopefully vote on this bill. We're back in session. Representative Lynn, you had had your hand up before. Are you good to go?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I love this bill. I think this is a great bill for small business. Many of us have county fairs in our counties, and boy, this would really make it easier for those vendors to come. But a lot of us too have little festivals, and I know in Mount Juliet we have a hard time getting more than two food trucks sometimes. And this is probably part of the difficulty. And I know the public says to me all the time, we'd love to have more food trucks here. And I'll say, talk to the city. Well, I didn't realize this could be something the state could solve. I love this bill. Thank you so much for bringing this.
All right. We are at this point in time, we're going to, he's not a member of the committee. He's not presenting the bill. We really love this bill. I was always told in my world that you do not sell past the yes. Well, I have the question on the bill. We're about to love this bill to death. I can see Representative Streamline down there getting fidgety in his seat. We're back into session. All those in favor, I hear the question. All those in favor of House Bill 814, please signify by saying aye. I hear no no's, so therefore, House Bill 814 moves to Finance, Ways and Means. There's a member of the audience keeps raising their hand out there, and I just do not recognize them. Next up, House Bill 167, Representative Butler. You are in proper posture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. This is a very simple bill.
It simply fills in a gap. And under current law, a individual under the age of 18 cannot possess tattoo paraphernalia, but they can purchase it. And they can also purchase piercing supplies and paraphernalia. And this bill simply makes it illegal for someone under the age of 18 to purchase tattooing paraphernalia and to not be able to purchase piercing paraphernalia. And I will add to this, this was actually brought to me by a constituent that said that we need to address this issue to prevent folks under the age of 18 from purchasing tattooing paraphernalia, and more specifically piercing paraphernalia, because if some of those piercings are improperly done by untrained individuals, they could be fatal. So with that, I renew my motion, or will be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Representative Butler? Speaker Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I was just wondering if there's an echo in this room, because I keep hearing this is a simple bill.
I think there's a term called a one-trick pony, and I think that he's had some success with this, so he keeps going back to ride. His methods he's employing are very simple in nature. I too detected the same thing that you detected, Speaker Johnson. I don't see anybody has any questions about tattooing or piercing today, so we're going to vote on Representative Butler's bill. It's House Bill 167. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. You're off the calendar and rules, where I hope you have a simple time.
Thank you.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now conclude the Commerce meeting. I hope you got your fill today. Representative Hardaway, have you got words of wisdom before we adjourn?
Yes, sir. I just want to extend a welcome to Representative Reedy to the Democratic Caucus.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that invitation. This meeting's adjourned.